Hello, dear ones. I am just talking about my experience on Sunday as I was coming from Washington, and our flight to Washington delayed by 30 minutes. And so we arrived at the airport a little bit late, and we had a layover of 1 hour, and so it was shortened by the delay. So we had only 30 minutes to get our way to the gate that would enable us to board our flight to Los Angeles. So as we walked through, as we, climbed the stairs and ran and did everything, we finally found out that our gate was changed, from C11 to D3. So we still had to find our way to go to D3, which was a little bit farther. So we went running and we were sweating. And when we arrived at gate D3, the flight attendant or the customer care there at the desk told us, are you supposed to be boarding your plane now? And we said yes. And she said, you have to scan your boarding passes now and you have to run because the flight is just about to leave. So we did that, and we went running and we ran and we ran. And as we arrived, at the boarding place, we found the flight door was locked. And I remember calling on Jesus, and I said, Jesus, Jesus, oh my God, Jesus, oh, may this door be open for us. And there was this guy who, I think he had locked the door from the outside, and he was going back, and he turned he turned and he tried to look at the small window, and he found the cabin crews there, and he knocked the door, and he told me to to just give him space because the door opens outside. And I thought something terrible is happening, and I continued to call on the name of Jesus. And eventually the door opened for us, and we got inside the plane. And it was a huge plane. It was about over 300 passengers. So, and we were the last one to board, and the last ones, like our seats were the very last ones. I had not, if you decide to choose seats, then you have to pay. So I had decided not to choose seats, so we were allocated. We were ready to sit anywhere. So we walked and walked and walked. You can imagine passing over 300 people, and eventually we got to our seat at the back. Next to the cabin crews on the other end, and next also to the exit door, where the kitchen is and everything. So anyway, I learned a lesson. And this lesson is when you are booking your flight, do not be happy when you get a layover of 1 hour. And I learned that I needed to extend my layovers maybe to 2 hours or 3 hours, just in case something happens. And it's interesting because when we were going to Virginia, we used a different airport because you use different airports. So we used a different airport. And when we arrived at this airport, our flight was delayed by 2.5 hours to Virginia. And so instead of boarding our flight at 6:30 p.m., we waited until 9. And okay, yeah, that was also another thing. So there can be a delay in terms of the flight may delay to your favor, and the flight may delay also, to your disappointment. Like now, this one, I was very, very disappointed because we were just about to be left by this plane. Oh, dear Lord. So when we entered in the plane, we were sweating, and we had not even had time to refresh ourselves. in this huge airport, Washington, Dulles, and so we had even to use, the restrooms so that we can freshen up before we start we start the journey. So these guys had to wait for us to do all that, get seated, belt up, and so that the flight can fly. So I can say we saw God, we saw our God, and we saw the favor of the Lord upon our lives. So another lesson that I have learned, which is the most important in my life: how is your situation with Jesus today? Because if you do not believe in Jesus Christ, that is exactly what will happen, because the doors of heaven will be shut, and you will maybe even get near those doors, and the doors will be shut. Unfortunately, you will try to knock on these doors and the doors will not open. So that came vividly in my life, and me and my daughter asked ourselves a question like, are we ready? Are we ready for Jesus? Are our hearts ready for Jesus, so that if Jesus was to come now, are we going to go to heaven with him? So it's a lesson to learn, and like a sermon to reach out to someone today who has not given his or her life to Jesus Christ. You do not have time to do that. Please give your life to Jesus Christ today, so that you can be saved on that day. When Jesus comes, and the trumpet sounds, are you going to be there with Jesus, or are the doors going to be shut on you? I also remembered Noah's Ark, and Noah was telling people to come and enter, and people were refusing to come and enter, and then the rain rained, and there were floods, and Noah's Ark was locked, and nobody could enter. So those two scenarios came vividly in my mind, and I just want to to challenge someone about that, and tell you, please get ready. As much as we are looking forward to getting things of this